2 U.S. carrier strike groups are positioned near the Middle East, and military pressure is increasing day by day. The question is no longer whether tensions will escalate, but if war breaks out, what Iran can actually do. After the 12-day war in June 2025, and the heavy losses that followed, does Tehran's current arsenal have enough strength to deter a U.S. invasion? Let us examine each layer of weaponry, from tanks, artillery, and air defense to missiles and the fleet in Hormuz, to understand what Iran truly has in its hands. Iran's armored forces do not field modern models such as the Abrams M1A2 or the Leopard 2A7, but instead rely primarily on upgraded variants built on older platforms. What emerges is a distinctive picture, a combination of aging chassis, electronic upgrades, added armor, and extended service life. The most notable model is the Karrar, developed from the T-72 platform, but promoted by Iran as featuring a new turret, explosive reactive armor, and an improved fire control system. In essence, this represents a domestic effort to sustain main battle tank capability under sanctions. Alongside it is the T-72S, a Russian tank supplied in the 1990s, and the upgraded Safir-74 variant, enhanced to improve night combat capability and mechanical durability. Iran has also developed the indigenous Zulfikar-1 and Zulfikar-3 tanks, blending design elements from the T-72 and the M60 to compensate for technological gaps through additional armor and improved electronics. Older models, such as the M60A1, upgraded under the Samsung program, and the Mubarez, an upgraded version of the British Chieftain, remain in service, while the T-62 continues to operate on a limited scale. Iran's tanks are sufficient for defensive operations and for blocking enemy ground advances, but against U.S. air superiority and precision firepower, they would be highly vulnerable without air defense protection. If tanks are the heavy punch, then Iran's IFV and APC forces are the vehicles that carry infantry forward and hold positions. The core of this group includes the BMP-2 and BMP-1, Soviet-origin infantry fighting vehicles, armed with 30mm or 73mm cannons, capable of providing close-range fire support and mobility across varied terrain. Alongside them is the Bora APC, a domestic version developed from the BMP-1 chassis, modified by Iran to transport troops and accommodate multiple weapon configurations. The M113A1 and the M577 command variant remain widely in service due to their simple design, ease of maintenance, and relatively uncomplicated spare parts supply. The EE-11 Uratu from Brazil adds a more flexible wheeled option suited for desert and urban environments. In the category of vehicles designed to counter unconventional threats, the Tufan MRAP is built to resist mines and improvised explosive devices, reflecting experience from asymmetric warfare in the region. Some units continue to operate the BTR-50, an older tracked vehicle, but durable and capable of rapid field repair under combat conditions. The IFV and APC fleet enables Iran to deploy infantry broadly and hold ground. The strength of this group lies not in armor or firepower, but in rapid troop distribution, position holding, and continuous reinforcement in a war of attrition. Meanwhile, mechanized and logistical vehicles serve as the lifeblood of sustained warfare, ensuring that missiles, artillery, and unmanned aerial vehicles always have sufficient fuel and ammunition to operate. At the light mobility level, the Safir Jeep and the Aras 1 and Aras 2 series perform rapid transport roles, tow light artillery, or carry mobile launch platforms. The Kavir 4x4 models enhance mobility across desert and mountainous terrain. The backbone of heavy logistics includes the Kamaz 43114, the Naval logistics truck, the Nenava 6x6 truck, and the localized Mercedes-Benz 2624 variant. These trucks transport fuel, artillery ammunition, components, and even dispersed missile launchers. In a confrontation with the United States, logistics vehicles do not generate firepower directly. But if they are struck, Iran's entire operational system would be paralyzed very quickly. Artillery and rockets are how Iran sustains continuous pressure. Lower cost than ballistic missiles, yet capable of massed fire and prolonged use. At the basic level is the mortar family, ranging from 60 to 160 millimeters. Flexible, easy to deploy, and suitable for close support. In the rocket category, Iran operates the Fajr-1, 107 millimeters, and the BM-21 Grad, 122 millimeters, both known for rapid salvo capability. Longer range systems such as the Fajr-3, 240 millimeters, and the Fajr-5, 333 millimeter MLRS, significantly increase range and warhead weight, while the Zelzal rockets provide deterrent value due to their large size and powerful destructive effect. In self-propelled and towed artillery, Iran fields the two S-1 Gvozdika, the M109A1, and the domestic Rad-2, 155 millimeter self-propelled howitzer. Heavy guns such as the M107, 175 millimeters, the M1978 Koksan, and the domestic Hadid-8 M41 extend long-range fire capability. Artillery enables Iran to generate dense ground firepower, but if the United States controls the skies and disrupts command systems, effectiveness would decline sharply. Missiles form the backbone of Iran's deterrence strategy. The objective is to disrupt the tempo of a U.S.-Iran campaign and raise its cost, not to fight a single decisive battle. The first branch is ballistic missiles aimed at striking bases. Systems such as the Fateh-110, Fateh-313, Zulfiqar, and Dezfoul have ranges from several hundred to over 1,000 kilometers, sufficient to target U.S. bases in Iraq, Qatar, or the United Arab Emirates. At longer ranges, the Shahed-3, Sajil-2, and Khorramshahr expand regional deterrence capability. The purpose of these systems is not absolute precision, but to strike airfields, ammunition depots, and ports, targets that force an opponent to disperse defenses. The second branch focuses on anti-ship warfare and blockade through risk imposition. Cruise missiles such as the Noor, Ghadir, and Abu Mahdi, along with older models like the HY-2 Silkworm, form a coastal threat layer. In particular, the Khalij Fars is promoted by Iran as an anti-ship ballistic missile. In theory, it can threaten maritime targets, but its real effectiveness depends on reconnaissance and targeting, the ability to update targets, and the capacity to penetrate Aegis defenses. In parallel, land attack cruise missiles, such as the Sumar and Hoveze, add long-range strike capability with low-altitude flight profiles that are more difficult to detect. Iran does not possess a wonder weapon. It relies on large numbers, salvo launches, and dispersed deployment to raise the cost and risk for its opponent. Facing U.S. air superiority, Iran has constructed a layered air defense network. The weakness lies not in the number of launchers, but in the sensor, command, and fire control network. If the United States successfully suppresses and jams these systems, the batteries would be isolated and forced to fight independently, with sharply reduced effectiveness. At the high-altitude layer, the two most important systems are the Bavar 373, a domestically produced system promoted as capable of long-range interception, and the S-300 PMU-2, supplied by Russia. The S-200 systems, including the upgraded Fajr-8 variant, along with the Talash system, add further high-altitude defensive capability. At the medium layer, Iran deploys the Khordad-15, Khordad-3, the Rod air defense system, and the Mirsad, together with older systems such as the MIM-23 Hawk and the 2K-12 Cub. These form the protective shield for bases and critical infrastructure against aircraft and cruise missiles. At the low-altitude layer, close-range interception is handled by the Tor M1, Rapier, MISOG man-portable air defense systems, and anti-aircraft guns such as the ZU-23-2, the ZSU-23-4 Shilka, the Samovat 35mm, and even the heavy KS 19 100mm gun. Iran has built a layered air defense network, but against the U.S. suppression of enemy air defenses and electronic warfare superiority, this system can still be penetrated. Therefore, Iran's survivability depends on dispersing forces and rapidly recovering after losses. Iran's air force consists primarily of aircraft that are several decades old, kept operational under sanctions, and limited access to new supplies. The F-4 Phantom II, F-5 Tiger II, and especially the F-14 Tomcat, once a symbol of power before 1979, remain in service through domestic efforts to localize spare parts and maintenance. Alongside them are the MiG-29, Su-24, and J-7, providing limited interception and ground attack capability. Iran has also developed domestic variants such as the Hisa-Kosar, Seke, and Azaraksh, based on the F-5 platform, to sustain training and patrol capacity. Although not modern, these aircraft remain airworthy due to long operational experience and self-reliant maintenance systems. The Su-35 represents a notable upgrade for Iran, but its effectiveness depends on training, maintenance, and munitions. Overall, Iran's air force is primarily defensive and deterrent in nature, and would struggle to achieve air superiority against the United States. Transport and patrol capabilities are critical in modern warfare, as the side that maintains mobility and reconnaissance sustains campaign tempo. Iran operates aircraft such as the C-130 Hercules and the IL-76 for strategic transport missions, along with the F-27 Friendship and the AN-74 TK-200 for regional logistics and resupply. In maritime patrol and surveillance roles, the P-3 Orion monitors sea lanes, particularly around the Strait of Hormuz. Boeing 707 and Boeing 747 aircraft have been converted for aerial refueling, while the Dassault Falcon 20 serves training and electronic warfare functions. If the United States launches a preemptive strike to blind radar systems, transport and reconnaissance aircraft would be both critical assets and primary targets. Whether Iran can protect them will determine how long it can sustain a conflict. Helicopters serve as Iran's flexible operational arm, especially across vast border regions and complex mountainous terrain. In the attack role, the AH-1J Cobra, a legacy from before the revolution, continues to provide close air support. The upgraded Tufan variant improves avionics and missile carriage capability, sustaining anti-armor and infantry support functions. For tactical transport, the CH-47 Chinook and the Mi-17 form the backbone, conducting troop insertion, resupply, and short-range evacuation missions. The Bell 214, Bell 212, and Bell 206 perform multi-role tasks, ranging from patrol to liaison. When complementing them is the Shahed 278, a domestically produced light helicopter for basic mobility missions. Iran's helicopters are suitable for rapid response and internal control missions, but they are unlikely to make a decisive difference in a large-scale war against the United States. Unmanned aerial vehicles compensate for Air Force weaknesses. From reconnaissance to suicide strikes, they allow Iran to apply sustained pressure at low cost. In the loitering munition category, the Shahed 136 and Shahed 131 stand out for their simple design, long range, and ability to be produced in large numbers. The Arash loitering munition adds another option for striking fixed targets. In the UCAV segment, the Shahed 129, Shahed 149, Shahed 191, and Mohajer 6 can carry guided bombs or missiles. The Mohajer series 1 through 5 and the Ababel family serve roles from reconnaissance to light attack, while the Fotros and Kamen 22 extend endurance and operational range. The Yasir, a copy derived from the Scan Eagle, provides tactical surveillance capability. Iran's UAV strength lies in mass production and continuous deployment, forcing an opponent to expend expensive air defense munitions against low-cost targets. Iran's naval strategy is built around the geography of the Strait of Hormuz, constricting maneuver space and compelling opposing fleets to move cautiously and disperse their defenses. Iran's submarine force includes the Russian-built Kilo class, large diesel-electric boats capable of operating offshore and carrying torpedoes and missiles, along with smaller domestic classes such as the Fateh class, Ghadir class, and Nahang class, designed for shallow waters and near-shore operations, particularly suited to the terrain of the Strait of Hormuz. On the surface, Iran operates the Muj class and Alvand class frigates and the Bayandor class corvettes, serving command and offshore patrol roles. Supporting them is a fast attack craft force, including the Combattante II, the Sina class missile boat, and the Common class patrol boat. Small, highly maneuverable platforms, armed with anti-ship missiles for hit-and-run tactics. The system is further complemented by the Parvin class patrol vessels, the Shahed class mine hunter, and the forward-based ship Iris Makran, which provides logistics support and extended operational reach. The combination of small submarines, missile-armed fast boats, and coastal missile systems makes the area hazardous, forcing adversaries to maneuver with caution. On land, Iran fields a diverse array of infantry weapons, suited for prolonged warfare and layered defense. At the infantry level, Iran maintains a weapons system that blends older legacy equipment with domestic production. The standard service rifle remains the G3A6, chambered in 7.62 mm, a German origin design produced under license in Iran before 1979, alongside the AK-103, AKM, and domestic models such as the KH-2002 Bullpup and the more modern Masaf 1 and Masaf 2 series featuring accessory rails. In the sniper and anti-materiel role, Iran fields the Nakshir, a copy of the SVD Dragunov, the Tahir, with a stated range of approximately 1,200 meters, the AM-50 chambered in .50 BMG, and notably the Shahed, 14.5 mm, an ultra-heavy rifle capable of penetrating light armor or disabling vehicles at long range. Support firepower includes the PKM, MG3, and RPK, along with heavy machine guns such as the DSHK and the W85 12.7 mm, generating high volumes of fire in fixed defensive positions. In the anti-armor role, RPG-7 variants are widely used, while guided missiles such as the Tufan, Dehlavia, and Almas provide controlled strike capability, including tandem warheads in the Tufan 3 and Tufan 5 variants to counter explosive reactive armor. Overall, Iran's infantry doctrine does not aim for NATO-style modern mechanized maneuver warfare, but instead focuses on urban defense, prolonged conflict, and incremental attrition, an approach oriented toward wearing down the opponent rather than achieving rapid breakthrough. The ultimatum clock is counting down. U.S. forces are in position. The issue is not whether Iran can win, but how much it can delay and disrupt the tempo of a campaign. If negotiations fail, the outcome will be determined by speed, firepower, and each side's tolerance for losses. In your view, does Iran have enough strength to deter the United States? Leave your opinion below. Subscribe to the channel to continue exploring and analyzing the arsenals of nations around the world. Goodbye, and see you in the next videos.